We all want more money, right? I know I do. I'd be willing to bet that you've probably heard the whole spiel about skipping the Starbucks and making coffee at home. If you're like me, you've probably taken that to heart and maybe even the extreme. I like to see myself as frugal, someone that doesn't waste any money. But what started as good budgeting eventually turned into an unhealthy and counterproductive habit. We call this being cheap. As it turns out, saving isn't always the right answer, and can actually sometimes be the exact reason you're not getting ahead in your finances. So, what's the difference, and how can you even tell where you stand? Let's find out. Reason number one that you might be cheap: you cut corners on the things that add value to your life. Let me give you a quick example. I needed a car. I wanted something that was cheap. I certainly wasn't going to get a brand new one. That's smart budgeting. However, if I go to a used dealer, find the cheapest car they have, don't do due diligence, and take it home, and then 6 months later it needs a new transmission, well, that's bad budgeting, and I'm gonna be paying more money in the long run, right? Same thing can be said on a smaller scale about something like clothing. You could spend money on more clothes that are lower quality and are gonna need replaced more often, or you could have a few nice shirts, a few nice jeans that are gonna last you so much longer, and you'll save money in the long run. Reason number two you might be cheap is if your financial choices lead to stress, anxiety, and unfulfillment. To give you an example, in my own life, I developed a hatred for spending money, even when it was a positive value add thing. So when it came time that it made sense to spend money, I actually felt uncomfortable and even guilty about doing so. What you might also find is that you micromanage every single dollar that you own. And while you think that's good budgeting, you're actually sacrificing focus that could be put on growing your income, increasing your net worth, and investing in the right investments. And then here comes the unfulfillment. Because you've made money your focal point and you're always living in the future, you never ever have time for the present. So whether that's doing something that you love, going on a trip, hanging out with friends, whatever it is, you're gonna wake up 10, 15, 20 years down the road and realize that you missed it. And what's even more devastating is that you never took any chances on yourself, and you actually experienced an opportunity cost with the business that you could have started, but you didn't want to split with the dollars. Or you could have took that course that would have gave you a higher salary or taught you something so valuable, but you didn't want to part ways with that investment. So if you're feeling stressed and anxious and unfulfilled with your financial choices, you might struggle with being cheap. Now, my third and final sign that you might be cheap and not frugal is that it's impacting the relationships in your life. This one is also very relatable to me. I struggled with being cheap back in high school, and I saw the immediate impact on my friendships. I missed out on so much, all because of a few dollars, whether it was grabbing a coffee, going to a movie, or something else. It wasn't until I got into a serious relationship that I realized the importance and necessity of investing in the person that you're pursuing. You gotta take them out on dates. Spend $5 or so and buy them flowers. They have to feel desired. And if they feel that you're putting money on a pedestal in front of them, then it doesn't matter how hard you work, how much you earn, it's not gonna be enough to hold on to that relationship. One final point on being cheap and your relationships, and personally devastating to me, is that you don't want to be generous with your money. You already struggle with investing in the relationships that you have, the people that are important to you. You're not going to spend money on a stranger or someone that you don't consider close to you. But what about if the $5 in your pocket could make someone's day? What I've seen from most is that they truly believe they're going to be more generous in the future when they have more money. But the truth is, you're only going to be as generous as you are now. If that isn't enough to convince you, think about it this way. If you rob others of blessings, the odds of other people blessing you are going to be a lot lower. If you're not willing to aid someone, if you don't offer your resources, your time, your attention, then you can't possibly expect it from someone else when you're in need. So being cheap truly does have a high negative impact on the relationships in your life. And if you don't know, your relationships, they really matter. They form who you are and how you get to where you want to be. So make sure that you're investing in your relationships and not being cheap. So those were 3 big signs that you might be cheap instead of frugal. Remember that frugality is simply spending money on things that add value into your life and not wasting money. But if you're frugal, you know when and how to spend money on the things that matter. Now, if you want to be wealthy, you have to develop the right mindset around money. This week, we talked about being cheap. Last week, we released a video where we talked about another aspect of the money mindset. Make sure you click on that right here on my right if you want to learn more. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, every single Friday, I'm here. I'm going to help you get your finances right and live the life that you love. I'll see you then.